So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I'm sitting down with Nadine of Men's Studios, and where I just want to start is to give some context. Can you describe your practice as it is today? The space, the team, just what Mend is all about.
Yeah, so we have two locations in Wisconsin. One location is 4 rooms, the other is six. Total of 23 employees across both locations. We primarily offer massage therapy. Um, in the therapeutic realm, we focus on pain relief, but over the years, we've crossed over into offering different modalities. So we also offer lymphatic drainage, and now we're offering buccal massage and also moving into skincare.
Excellent. So I am personally very excited because there's a topic I don't ever get to talk about because it has nothing to do with what I do for work. I like asking people about younger versions of themselves. I just happen to know that you were a member of a drum and bugle corps. So I never get to talk about this. I want to ask you, what was your experience like in drum corps, and how would you describe what drum corps is for people who don't know?
Drum corps is amazing. It's it's like the professional athletes of marching band. As you know, we spend the summer touring the country, spend nights on gym floors, sometimes on a bus, and we put on our 10 to 13-minute show and we perform that. That's literally the only thing we do for 3 months. Um, Drum corps was hard. I marched the Blue Stars in 2008 and then I aged out in 2009. And I did some senior corps before that, which is more like, like we stay in hotels and we're still at home. But yeah, this was wild. I moved to La Crosse for the summer. We had move-ins in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and then obviously we started tour after that. Um, I didn't know what I was getting into when I started. My color guard instructor actually from winter guard season asked me to go, and I was like, sure. And I went to go try out. It was actually my second season spinning saber, and my instructor was Michael Shapiro. Anyone in the world of the arts knows that he is known for his very intricate and challenging weapon work. So it was hard. It was really hard. I think it was the first time in my life where I was like, I don't think I can do this. That first summer I had, but I got through. I ended up having a great summer. By the end of it, I gained a lot of perspective. And I actually think that that experience in 2008 and 2009 like really shaped me to know that I'm capable of doing things that push me way past what I think I can do. I'm fully indebted to my instructors during that season too, to thanking them for showing me that I can be more than what I am. So the influence of drum corps is something that is lasted forever. I also met my husband in drum corps. He marched the Cavaliers and we aged out the same year. And funny story, he made a puzzle for me on the last day we had our age out ceremony. And the night before, he had given these puzzle pieces to different instructors and people in my drum corps because we were not in the same one. And throughout the day, people were giving me these random puzzle pieces. And he had the last one at the end of the day and he asked me to be his girlfriend. So ultimately, I mean, how can you say Um, so I ended up moving out to Wisconsin. Eventually, I went back home to California for a bit, but yeah. So drum corps has changed my life. Now we are married with two kids, 13 years. Yeah.
I love to hear that, and I love that story, and it's one of those things that I could easily make this entire episode about what is drum corps like. But one of the things I can remember for myself is, I mean, I did 5, 6 years. What did I do? I did 5 years with Spirit, 1 year. Then they had the Blue Devils International. But I remember thinking to myself, okay, when I'm like a real adult and a professional, any opportunity that I can to talk about drum corps and be like, hey, here's a great thing, great professional development, networking, all the things. Put your kids in band, put your kids in the arts. I will take that opportunity to make sure people can go learn about that. So I was really excited. When we first got connected, I was like, wow, I never expect these two worlds of mine to cross. And so, speaking of, what was it that first got you into massage or made you interested in wellness?
So after drum corps, I ended up going to school. I was a dance major. And in my particular program at UW Milwaukee, there was a heavy focus on somatics. And I got really interested in body work. If you would have told me 5 years before that, that body work would become my life, I would have been like, gross, I don't want to touch people. But being a dance major, I realized how much healing potential we have, how capable we are of connecting to our body, um, and working on each other to heal, to bring good energy in. And my bodywork practice actually started with the Alexander technique. I got really interested in that from my ballet teacher. And he would spend, like, we would spend classes just like laying on the floor. And I was like, what is this all about? And I just remember like slowing down enough to be able to feel and feel aligned and work myself out of pain. And it was through the Alexander technique when I would do private lessons or we go in for a table turn. That's when I started realizing how healing touch can be. And I just kind of took a deep dive. Originally, my plan was to go into physical therapy. I actually did my pre-doctoral classes for physical therapy. And as I was transitioning to move into grad school, I also was in a place where wanted to start a family. And that seemed like a lot. But I knew I wanted to be in bodywork and I took a tour of the massage school and I was like, yeah, this is it. So that's the evolution.
So, talk us through this piece. You're like, okay, here we are. You visit the massage school. Okay, I'm going to study this. What was the point where you were like, okay, now it's time to start my own business? And what did that first year look like?
So after school, I actually took a job at a big athletic club and I loved it. I had a great time. I was working closely with personal trainers, with other therapists. They would do some training. I would give the clients massages and I would give the trainers feedback actually, like, hey, this is what I felt. Feels like maybe they might have an imbalance. I don't know if that's something you might want to work on with them because you can feel that in tissue density and you know mobility and all that. After a couple of years, I was like, okay, this is the routine of things. Is this sustainable? And that question of sustainability continued to kind of peak up. And I knew that eventually I wanted to go out on my own or find a way to move up in the ranks at the club. And I started there, it kind of hit a wall with moving up or growing within that company. So then I started looking for a space on my own. So January of 2020, I started renting a room and I was pretty strict about like, I'm not going to mix clients. I'm not going to, um, this was just friends and family. This wasn't connection to the business because, it's a whole ethics thing. And I was busy enough. I had like 5 or 6 a week, which paid for the rental, and I made a little extra cash on the side, which was super fun. And that was my plan, to just kind of do both for a while. And then COVID hit, and obviously all the gyms, they closed. We closed. I still saw people. Oh, I should say, I actually didn't see people. It was about a month and a half that I didn't see people for um, that initial shutdown, because I think we were all just kind of nervous. I mean, I can't believe that was actually like 5 years ago now, but that time was really odd. And yeah, so COVID kind of closed down. And then I had people starting to reach out, and I was like, okay, well, we have to be careful. Um, but a lot of people started reaching out. Like, I was actually quite overwhelmed. I had this space like 2 days a week, and I ended up needing to rent the space full time. My practice went from, you know, casually seeing friends and family to being booked by the end of 2020, about 6 months out. So I was pretty over, like, it was pretty overwhelming. I had two small kids at the time. My daughter was not even a year old, and my son was barely 3, pushing 4. And, when something goes wrong and your schedule is 100% full, you're like, sorry. And that kind of like was like, okay, I don't know that this is sustainable either. In terms of like growing and evolving, I know I was turning a lot of people away, referring them out to my other therapist friends. But eventually the light bulb kind of clicked, and I was like, well, why don't I just open my own business and like think about hiring employees? And so I had a couple of friends who were encouraging me. My husband was encouraging me. And by the end of 2021, I found a space and started a lease and just kind of dove in. Yeah.
Wow, it's really amazing how fast you're able to grow. I find it so fascinating getting to talk to different people and hear different stories. Just I think there's no timeline that's correct. And then obviously, like with the work I do, it's helping people speed up what they're able to do. But I've seen people who were solo for years and years and years, while other people it's a handful of months and then like, okay, let's do it. It's time to go. So I want to look at that transition. I find these transitions to be some of the most interesting times and a time where we tend to learn a lot. So you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go into group practice. What was that period like for you? Were you scared? Were you excited? And then kind of a similar question, what was like that first like handful of months when you had a team? What was that like?
Um, I have a tendency to like dive in and just go. Like, if I think about things for too long or sit there and dwell, my anxiety takes over, and I'm like, I can't do this. I have to just go. So that is exactly what I did. I rented a space. I found this space. It's 2,400 square feet. And my idea in the beginning, I also had a yoga studio when I first opened, a full yoga studio, and 6 treatment rooms, a break room, a kitchen. And the place that I am at, and we're still here in Brookfield, it was awful. It was trashed. The building is old. It's not cute. So my first step was just doing an overhaul. I The first thing I did was knock down the wall. Literally, I signed my lease and I went in there and I started hammering the wall away, just like, okay, here we go. And the first couple months, as soon as I got cleared in my space to see clients, which took about 2 weeks, putting up some quick paint, fixing the ceiling, the remodel on the other side was blocked off. So I would see a client, and then I would go like paint. And then I would see a client, and then I would like fix the ceiling tiles. So the other part of me is that I really love doing like contracting work. I love doing construction. My husband and I have done like a bunch of remodeling projects and painting projects for friends. So it was fun, but it was busy. I was probably working like 80, 90 hours a week between seeing clients and remodeling the space. My kids would pop in, they'd help me paint. My husband would stop by with food. You know, they were just kind of like taking care of me, but they were very supportive during that time. So that was the first, I want to say 3 or 4 months was that before I actually hired people. And the first people that I hired were yoga instructors. So I actually had a team of about 5 or 6 yoga instructors when we opened who were teaching classes while I continued to look for a massage therapist. And I ended up finding one, and she was great. She was very aligned with the vision, hardworking, great therapist, great skill set, um, and she she was very supportive. And from there, it was her and I. We were seeing a lot of clients. And then a couple months later, I think it was about actually a year later, I ended up hiring a second therapist. And that took a little more time to grow. The one thing that, I mean, I was, those beginning years, they were tough because I was still seeing quite a few people myself. And then obviously trying to figure out marketing, trying to figure out, um, you know, logistical things like, oh, I think we need a front desk person now. I didn't even think about that. And my first front desk person, like I just was just happy that someone was there to help me with the laundry um, and answer the phones. That was pretty much it. And that was the job, like do the laundry, answer the phones, schedule appointments, check clients out. Um, yeah, it was very different then than where we've come to now. You know, there weren't really any systems in place. We didn't really have process. It was just like, we're swamped, we're busy. I need everybody to just do what you can with what you know. I'm not going to teach you anything. Just do what you can. So, yeah.
And with your first few team members, how did your role change? Um, Obviously, when you start, like your focus is serve clients, serve clients, serve clients, and then we start to expand. What was it like managing a small team, and were there any new skills you had to pick up to do that well?
I don't think that I did a great job of managing. I don't think that I ever made that connection actually that I needed to take hold more. Actually, probably the realization probably was everything kind of blew up. I did have like a big falling out. A lot of those people left. And that was a big eye opening moment for me where I was like, oh, I'm just another person working here. And the team doesn't feel like, I don't think that they have the tools that they need. And I honestly don't think that I was doing a great job managing. It was purely survival mode those first couple years. Um, so yeah, that realization came then, and that actually was around the time that I had reached out to you originally.
And I'm excited to get into the changes we made because I remember that point that you came to me of like things were going well and then suddenly not, and trying to
Yeah.
get out of that crisis mode. What I want to ask is, so you've gone from Seoul, you've grown a team, we've, services have changed, we've expanded because we found more therapists. At what point were you like, you know what, this needs a second location? What was that process like?
Um, it was more like a really nice opportunity fell into my lap. Um, and to be honest, I don't think that I was ever clear on my plan of what my plan was. And it has to do with being a little bit impulsive at times, where I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then we'll figure all the other stuff out later. And opening the second location, I think also folded into me realizing like, oh, I'm stretching myself really thin and I'm taking on quite a bit. And I don't actually know that I have control over my staff. I don't know that I have control over my business. My business relies on so much on the output of other people, where the business felt more like a collective. So, like, if someone fell off of the collective, then things were not stable. Um, so, opening a second location, um, I think all roll and opening the second location, having kind of the big fallout that happened at the first location, all of that stuff happened around the same time. And that to me was like my crisis mode, but also like my realization that, okay, I have to step up and manage now, and I have to take control of the business. I can't rely on other people to do that. That's not their job. That's not, they didn't do this. They didn't create this. This is kind of this is my circus, and I need to take control of what's going on.
So we'll go a little bit back and forth in time to talk about some of our work together,
Yeah.
but I want to get a little more context. So, what was the event, or as much as you'd like to explain, like what was going on, what was happening that, brought you to me essentially? What was happening that was like, oh man, I gotta get help?
Yeah. So it was actually the first girl that I had hired, and she ended up becoming my studio manager. And I do think, looking back at it now, that I just was overworking her. And I actually, to go back a little bit back and forth, reading E-Myth, which you had suggested for me to read, I was like, the woman who had the pie shop, who was putting all, kind of dumping all of her stuff on the manager. I was like, oh, that's me. I did that. And I didn't realize how much pressure I was putting on her, because at the time I was like, I just need to get clients in, and I need to produce, I need to get out as many massages as possible so we can pay the bills. And I wasn't really handling the day to day, the organizational tasks, the systems, the processes. Um, and she was also seeing quite a few clients. And then she um, she came to me. She expressed that she wanted to leave. We had never had a conversation about anything, but essentially, she said she wanted to leave. She wanted to take clients with her, and obviously, that creates a little bit of an issue, um, considering that she was making a lot of money for the business. So when she left, I had all of this stuff kind of fall onto my lap. At the time, I was really angry. I was very upset that, like, how could she do this to me? But then when I realized like how much I was dumping onto her, I was like, oh no, I need to fix these things. And if I don't fix these things, my business will just continue to do this thing where we go up and we're doing really well. And then it's a big fall off the cliff and everything kind of feels unstable again. So yeah, that's kind of what catapulted me into doing some research. And I took a deep dive into like business coaching and wellness coaching. And then someone had recommended your podcast on, I think it was a Facebook page, like a Facebook group, massage therapy group. And I listened to your podcast and I was like, oh, wow. He's like talking about all of these things that I think I need, but I don't know how to do. So that was it.
So I want to look at where we are today compared to that moment. How has your business changed since we've been working together?
Oh, it's pretty wild how much it's changed. I mean, I can go through the whole gamut of the business. Revenue, I think we've more than doubled. Not revenue, gross sales, but revenue's gone up too. I am only in the treatment room for 4 treatments a week now. I am fully focused on the business. I have systems and operations in place. I have a team of very skilled massage therapists. I have a team of very skilled front desk. And I have an executive team who helps me train those people and oversee people throughout both locations. Um, and that has taken a lot of stress off of my plate, but I am also in control and I can oversee everything that's going on. And we've had a couple therapists leave and a couple of, people coming in and out life. They want to follow their dreams, they want to pursue other passions and ideas. And nothing has felt catastrophic or unsafe since implementing that. And I feel that's because I have control of the business now. And the business is its own brand. The business, it's its own breathing and living thing. And it's not so reliant on the people working in it. The business is the business. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's one of those things that I try to talk about on the podcast and try to explain to other people. And I think until you really experience it for yourself, that's kind of difficult. In this industry, and it's not really to knock on anyone or any size of business, but when you're working by yourself, that is also a business. And when we come in and one of my jobs is like I bring in tools from like big businesses and say like, well, how does this get applied here to this industry? And in a business should be its own entity. It's a thing that isn't just you. The thing I like to say a lot is we want to take you from being the engine to making you the driver. And when you're in that case, like your business is its own thing that stands alone that you now get to take and control in the direction that you want it to go. So one of the first things then I want to talk about is like how these changes have come about. I think one of the first questions would be, people see this idea of like growing a business and making it larger. And I think one of the pushbacks is, oh, that's like massage envy, or it's like instantly this thing that is actually, I just got a comment today on one of my Instagram posts, and it was like either you are doing your own thing or you're like taking advantage of people, and it's like those seems to be the only two options. So, like, how has this process of growth felt for you? But then, how has your team been? How have they been affected? What's morale been like as you've gone and like we've doubled your business?
Um, I actually have a couple of comments about a lot of the things you just said. I know massage envy gets a bad rap. I know the chains get a bad rap, but like I think that the one thing that they've done for us is they've legitimized our industry. They have helped to gain awareness to the to regular people. And I actually think that the business model that Massage Envy and Elements has, like from a business standpoint, the way that they have things organized and they can make it repeatable across multiple locations, like that that takes a lot of hard work. Now, I don't necessarily if I don't necessarily agree with the way that things are ran, but they've obviously figured out some system of things. And I do think that they've helped to legitimize our industry, and I'm grateful for that. Um, I don't want to be Massage Envy or Elements. They're their own thing. I want to be Mend. And I don't think that any of my employees, and I don't know, I don't speak for them. I don't think they've ever thought that I've taken advantage of their time. I think that there's a balance between both. I think having a strong business mind and having organized systems and processes is extremely important if you want to have a business. But I also think that massage therapists are some of the hardest working people I've ever met. And I know that because I've been in the treatment room for about 10 years. Um, I know what burnout feels like. I know what being overworked feels like. And we have to make sure that we honor that. I'm really interested in the sustainability of the massage therapist, paying them a decent wage, not pushing their limits, and asking them to set clear boundaries when they come in. So, we're like, do you need a break? How much time do you want between your appointments? How many appointments can you max out? Um, if you're feeling burnt out, just take a day off. Come talk to me. Let's have open communication. I think both of those things, if you have a healthy balance between both, like you're creating boundaries and clear guidelines in your business, but you're also letting your therapist create those boundaries and clear guidelines. When those two meet and they can work together, I don't know, I think that creates something that is sustainable and where people hopefully feel valued and like they have a voice, because I would never want the therapist to feel like they don't. Yeah.
Mm. And as we look at this growth that we've had, it could be while we've been working together, even before we started working together. Um, what would you say have been some of your biggest challenges, the things that were just hardest for you while getting to this point?
Um, there's been a lot. I think that this was working with you has been like an ungrounding and deep dive into my own personal baggage and issues. Definitely my people pleasing tendencies has been the hardest thing um, to get over. For me, that took a big mindset shift. Um, you know, that was a big one for me. Not saying that I still don't have those tendencies, but I think that I've done a better job of like advocating for myself as opposed to taking the feeling of others before myself. I So that's been a big challenge. Um, Putting in the work to do the things that I don't want to do. I don't want to sit there and write a bunch of systems out. It's honestly like the most awful thing that you could ask me to do, but it was very, very, very vital to kind of getting things on track and where they need to be. Those are the two
Yeah,
big ones.
say I remember when you came and it was like you mentioned your staff member who left. One of the things that they had left with clients, so you were worried about revenue. They had left their job, so now a bunch of responsibilities were suddenly yours. And then the thing I was like, I wanted to fix right away, is they also left with organizational knowledge. Everything they had been doing was in their head, and suddenly there was no one there to know how things are supposed to be done. And I really applaud you getting your operations manual built also so quickly, of like, hey, we gotta get all of this stuff back into the organization now, that so that no matter what happens, because people leave, people move, they want to explore other opportunities, or even if like someone gets promoted and moved around, how do we make sure that m everything that's supposed to be happening inside of Mend is happening all the time, kind of regardless of who's doing it or who is and is not in the office, and just like the speed that you got these things down despite not really enjoying it was just really impressive. Like you said before, like you dive in and was like, "Hey, I need you to do this." And you're like, "Okay, cool, we got it." And now we see how that's played out and really helping the stability and growth of your business. I mean, this you've grown really fast. I mean, if we look at 5 years ago, essentially no
Yes.
business, compared to now. One of our most recent conversations was, okay, what is this path to $1 million going to look like? And that makes me super excited. I'm curious, like, how has your view of business changed, if at all, since you've been in so many roles and so many different sizes so quickly?
I think it's actually done like a 180. When I started, I was like, very lax and like this is a place where we it was very green and like not saying that I shouldn't say 180. It's like 180 with other things added on. I still do think that we should have our the ability to feel free. And I do think that there's that. It just has structure now. But before I was like, I'm not doing an operations manual. Like I'm not doing any of that. We're not doing uniforms. We're not doing a set schedule. And the more and more I was operating that way, I was like, this is kind of making me crazy because I feel like I'm needing to pick up all of these places that other people are falling short. And then I realized like, oh, we do need structure. The therapists do need feedback. Most other people, I I should sidetrack. I thrive with freedom. I do. Like I feel expansive. I feel great. I work harder when I feel free. But other people, when they have too much freedom, they feel like they're maybe not they're like maybe their needs are not being met or they're not being taken care of or not being heard. I've actually found that having more boundaries, people are different, but the more boundaries and the more structure that you have, um, the therapists do better just kind of knowing those clear guidelines. The front desk does better knowing those clear guidelines. So for me, it's been maybe not thinking about myself and how to run a business, but how, just having employees changes your perspective. So yeah, it's much different, much different. I am always focused now primarily on the team, the shifts that are happening, making sure that we're staying on top of it. I have a really good that executive team that I'm building here too. They've been so intricate to bouncing off ideas from and creating structure with me. So it's just crazy. I can't like I'm actually like I haven't really thought about the fact that it's only been a year that we've been working together, but there's been a lot. It's been a big change.
Yeah, I would say your business has grown so much and so fast, and especially from a point of chaos to, I would say, from like chaos to calm. Like obviously there's still small things here and there to work on. There's things we want to move forward with, but getting out of like the, I can remember just I would pay attention to people's energies throughout the calls, and like from our first call to where we are now, of being able to be calm, cool, and collected, and not like, oh my God, I have to figure out all of these things or else. And that's been really fascinating for me, and it makes me really happy for you. As you think about this past year of working together, um, and this journey of growth, has there been anything that's surprised you or something that surprised you the most?
Um, I honestly, the thing that has surprised me the most is our sales. Like, I never thought that I would be in charge of something that is, that has these kinds of numbers. That's crazy. That was shocking. It is shocking still. And I remember like the first time it hit was December of this last year. And you were like, hey, did you celebrate? Because this is pretty cool. And I was like, no. Um, yeah. And since that moment, like I was like, oh, wow, like we're actually doing amazing things. And I think that that has honestly been the most shocking thing to me is that I can run a business that is generating this much. It's crazy.
It's impressive. I think about as we look at the numbers, and I think we're, one of our most recent conversations really is just like, $1 million a year is, I say only, but 83,000, and that number it's in our sights.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. There's work to do, but it's in our sights, and I think that's amazing. And I was thinking, and I didn't look at the numbers, but I remember looking at our notes. I probably told you to celebrate. Maybe it was around 50,000, I
Yep.
think. And I think about that number is significant to me, because I like to point out to people is like if you grow to that point, is like congratulations, your business does in a month what like the average massage therapist is doing in a year.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's massive. I think I was funny. I told this to another client. We had, our last coaching call, and we were saying like, I haven't really figured out the marketing. And I was like, you like are doing 5 figures per month. Like there's more to be done, but like you're not way, way, way far off. And I
Yeah.
just think it's really funny and like seeing like, wow, look at what we can do and what's possible. It makes me excited. It's just me go on of like it makes me excited, and I really love what I do, and getting to show people of like no, you could make a really we'll say large, profitable, high revenue massage business in a way that isn't all about like say exploiting people, or in a way that feels like really heavy or really gross. I'm curious, we talk a lot about the business itself. Have there been any unexpected benefits that's working together? Things that you're like, oh wow, I didn't expect that to happen.
Um, Definitely the amount of time that I've gotten back. Um, I'm now, before a year ago-ish, I was regularly working 70 to 80 hours a week for the last couple of years. Um, I'm now working like a normal person, like 40 hours. That I didn't expect. I didn't expect to have time back with my family. So I've been able to like hang out with my kids, watch them grow up more, be more present with my husband. Um, I've been to almost all of my son's baseball games and all of my daughter's dance classes, gymnastics. Like it's just cool. And yeah, I didn't expect to have so much time back. It's what I've wanted, but like, when you're 30, 40 clients a week in the treatment room and then trying to run a business on top of that, there's just no end in sight when you can't see your way out. To me, that's been the most surprising thing. And also, um, I have a lot of pride and I've had room to celebrate the wins. This is something that I didn't have the capacity for in the beginning. It was just like, no, I have to do more. I have to do more. Like I couldn't look and settle to see what I had already done. So time and and gratitude for myself and my accomplishments, the ability to feel good.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm really, really happy for you. So someone might be watching, might be listening to this, and they're thinking about really expanding, growing, not necessarily working with me, but they're just thinking about scaling up their business. What advice might you give to them?
Be open, and you have to be open to it. And if you're a therapist or a service provider, you have to be open to the fact that you will not be a service provider. You will transition into a business owner if you're deciding to scale and to hire a team. You might still have some hours in the treatment room, but your primary focus should be on ownership and leading and directing. I think for a business to succeed, it needs a really, really strong leader. And yeah, that's a big transition. I mean, before this last year, like I've spent the last 9 years trying to be the best massage therapist I could be. And then that wall hits and you have that realization and you're like, oh, that's not my primary focus anymore. My primary focus now is to be the best business owner I can be. And all of a sudden, you're doing things that you didn't think you were going to do, like sitting at a computer, figuring out SEO, trying to figure out how to get people in your business, networking with anyone and everyone. Um, but yeah, I think that that's like the biggest piece of advice that I can give is just be ready for a shift, a big shift.
And we've come so far. As you look into the future, what's next for you? I mean, I know what we're focused on, but what do you see as next phase of your business? What's next for you?
So we are on the verge of adding in skincare, adding facials into our practice. So I'm excited about that. We've been working on that for about 6 months, and we should be launching hopefully at the end of summer, beginning of the fall. And I am also on the talks of opening location number 3. So that's kind of where we're at now. Um, as I look into the future, things seem so grand and endless, but in a good way. And there's so many possibilities that lie ahead. Um, I think we have the formula now that works really well for us. And I'm hoping to move into expansion into more of a well known name in our area and to hopefully like show other business owners in the industry that we need to make sure that we're balancing and taking into account how hard our therapists work and show them that both things can exist in a business. And it can be a big business and it can also be with that small business feel where we're taking care of our employees and it's not so regimented.
I've loved having this conversation. I've got a few more quick questions. They don't necessarily need to have quick answers. My first is, so how do you stay inspired and motivated? What drives you?
Family. And I love to work out. I just, I do. Those are my two things. I love to have my family. I love to go get a nice workout in, have a nice endorphin rush. That's it.
And I'm curious, what are you currently obsessed with? Could be in work, could be personal, could be a book, TV show, whatever. What's the thing that's keeping a lot of space in your mind lately?
Um, that's a tough one. I do like to read. I um I've been really interested in traction and the EOS module. So business has been as much as I can absorb about learning about business. That's kind of like what I'm interested in right now.
And speaking of, is there a resource that stands out to you? Could be traction, could be something else, a book, a course, a person, anything that has been really helpful that really stands out in your mind.
Well, I think that you are probably that answer for me. Um, Working with you has been the best resource for me.
I appreciate that a lot. It really has been a pleasure. And so if someone's watching, they're listening, they're maybe on the fence, they're considering working with me, what would you say to them?
Do it. You have such a great balance of like the human side, the human aspect of things, understanding people where they're at. Like you were never, you never made me feel bad for being chaotic or crazy or frazzled. You always met me with calm and gentle energy, very grounding. And you're also direct in your own gentle way, where you're like, no, these are the things that we need to do. Let's get you back on track. Let's check in. Where are the rocks at? What are we accomplishing right now? What should we be working towards? And I think that you are the perfect person for this industry because I don't think that the super aggressive mindset that a lot of other business coaches have works well with the sort of human and soft energetic approach that most wellness practitioners have.
Thank you so much for the kind words.
Yeah.
Really, it's been a pleasure, and it's like it's always nice to hear nice things about yourself. But I'm so happy the impact I've been able to have on your business. So really, my last question is, if someone wants to learn more about you, get connected with you, or learn more about Mend, where's the best place for them to go?
And I can always visit our website, mendstudio.com. That's mendstudio.com. But if anyone wants to connect with me personally, they have questions, or they just want to, I don't know, brainstorm or whatever, you can reach me at N Bailey, that's Nbailey, at mendstudio.com.
So thank you so much again. It's been
Yeah.
a pleasure working with you, and thanks for coming on and recording this today. And to anyone who's watching, listening, however it is you're consuming this, thank you for being here. That's all for this recording, this episode, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.